Hey guys, it's Fayon here. Welcome back to another video on the passive hang. We're going to continue on this mini series and I'm going to take you through now two of my favorite stretches to open up the side, the lateral line of the body. Really powerful stretches. We're going to integrate some of the awareness tools of what we practiced in the small frame mobility in part 1 of the series. If you haven't checked out that video, I recommend that you watch that before you watch this video. Otherwise, we're going to get stuck in. Let's go. So the first stretch I'm going to take you guys through is what I call the lateral squat and reach. It's going to work your sides hard. You don't need any equipment whatsoever. All you need is your own body weight. So what you need to do is straddle your feet a little wider than standing width, and then you're going to come over to one side and load that leg, that side, and outstretch the other one, get onto your tippy toes. Now we're going to bend, side bend over towards the leg that is outstretched. And when I bend over, I'm going to avoid any rotation in my body, so going up or going down. So if you were to see me on the side, I'm not extending back, I'm not flexing forward, I'm also not rotating left or right. I'm just purely bending over with my spine towards the leg that is outstretched. So once again, coming over. And this is where we can start playing with the tilts that we learnt in the first episode of this series. So when I tilt here, I'm also tilting my neck, my ribs. I'm also emphasizing the tilt to maximize that stretch. And I'm also tilting my pelvis as well. So I'm trying to lengthen this side of the pelvis down, and I'm trying to crunch up with this side of the pelvis to really compress down in this side and expand all the way on this outstretched side. So you notice here I'm in quite a side flex position already. Now what we can do to play around with this is with this leg, you can notice that it's a little bit bent. I can play around with a squatting action. So I can extend the leg and then I can bend the knee and then squat down to really start flossing the muscle tissues here. And then as I extend, I can also start tilting my body more and the side flexing even more, so I can breathe in and out as I perform this squatting motion. And to get even more out of this squatting motion, what I can do now is I can also tilt my pelvis up as I squat down, and then tilt my pelvis down when I squat up. So that is also playing around with the pelvis position, which is really going to pull on the lat fibers at the bottom end of the torso there and really emphasize more of that stretch. What that will look like on the side is as I'm squatting down, I'm tilting my tailbone up, and then as I'm squatting up, I'm pushing my glutes through and then posteriorly pelvic tilting as I come down. So it's this action that I'm performing each time I go down and up, trying to tilt and sink lower into the stretch. So looks like this as I perform this squatting action, coupling the tilting up and down of the pelvis. And I can just sort of pulse in and out, or I can hold as well for a bit longer down at this bottom, and then coming out, exhaling, and then squeezing hard, and then also trying to tilt more of this across as I come up and hold, and then we can just oscillate once again. Now if you want to make this really intense, really nasty, you can also reach over with your arm as well, and that will really intensify the stretch. My sides are really lighting up now as we perform this motion of this lateral reach and squat. Whew. and you can notice here, I'm very side flexed as I perform this motion, opening up this whole lateral line of the body, trying to really reach over. Oh, as I open up this side, but even on this side as well, we're putting in a lot of work through the lateral side here and how much it can compress down. So as we compress down, it's going to allow the other side to expand up through opposite antagonistic action as well. So I'll demonstrate it once more again on the other side so you guys can have a look. You might even want to do this together along with me as well as you watch this video. So the setup, I outstretch this leg. It's only on the tippy toes. I then start bending over without any rotation or flexion extension, just completely crunching down the sides. I try and tilt my ribs further. I try and tilt my pelvis further, my neck. I might add the arm reach. And then I play with the squatting action and also posteriorly and anteriorly tilting my pelvis. So anterior pelvic tilt as you squat, and then posterior pelvic tilt, pushing the glutes through, really tucking the tailbone under as I stand up and I straighten that leg, and I try and reach and sink down further into that stretch, really opening up this side of the body. Whew. Oh, so come out of that gently if that's the first time you're doing this stretch. Even though it's only your body weight, just the lever length of adding your arm over is going to create a lot of load in this scenario through your side torso. So be gentle with yourself at first. Maybe just try the side bend and then add layers as you become more comfortable with it. So you might just have the side bend and play with the micro tilts of the body that we learned in episode 1. And then you can add the squatting motion, then you can add the pelvis tilting motion of up and then down, up, down. And then finally, you can add the reach. If you can imagine, if you want to be really sadistic with yourself, then you can probably hold a weight or a band and then really pull yourself over even more. But I find even with just body weight, no equipment needed, necessary, just bringing awareness to how you're segmentally tilting with your body through the ribs, pelvis, and neck, you can get a lot out from this stretch. So this is one of my favorite stretches, especially when I just feel tight, sometimes through the lower back or even through the hips. Doing a few rounds of this, which might involve something like 10 squats with a 10-second hold in the top position where my leg is extended and my tailbone is tucked under, reaching for 10 seconds. Do that for a couple of sets on both sides. You already feel a big change throughout this whole region, even through your hips as well. The other stretch I love for opening up the side of the body is Doorframe stretch. I don't really know what the name is called for this. Give credit to Emmett Lewis because that's where I first saw the idea or this exercise being performed, and I've just played around with it over the years as well. Really get every time fantastic sort of sensation in opening up the sides. Really great way to open up the lats in particular. So all you need is a door frame or something to hold on, even if it's a pole as well. Pole's actually very good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stand next to it where with this hand I can reach over like this. So we don't want it to be so we're reaching over like this where the shoulder is internally rotated. We want to reach over where the shoulder is externally rotated so that you can really stretch, especially the lat. Because it's an internal rotator, you can stretch it even more effectively when you externally rotate the shoulder. So I reach over here, palm facing towards me with my thumb facing up. what I do is I set up with my feet, so you can play around with the distance with the wall, but I like to take a bit of a step out. With the other foot, I place it behind the foot, but I place it across towards the wall here. And so this is going to really help stretch the line all the way down through this pocket of the hip as well. Place my other hand on the wall. I reach over. Doesn't matter if you reach high or low because you can play with that as a variable. But as I reach over, I then use this other hand to push myself away from the wall, and I try and push my hips away from the wall as well into this side bending action. And already you can feel, or I can feel, a really big stretch through the side of the body here, through the lats. And this is the first stage of the stretch that you can just get yourself accustomed to. Now what I can do here is I can play with my pelvis position, so I can tuck my pelvis under to really pull even more strongly at the bottom end of that lat, and I can sort of contract, relax at that bottom when I'm in this position here. So I'm tucking my pelvis, and that intensifies the stretch, and then I can let go, just relax and try and reach over a bit more with this top hand. So I'm actually actively trying to reach over whilst pushing my hip away here. And then what I can also do is I can just slightly rotate out and in towards the wall. That will also just stretch different lines across the body as we reach over, and just each time it's going to be a big strong contraction, but then you can just sort of try and relax in that position whilst you're holding it, and that really intensifies the stretch across. You can find certain real tight spots, and then you can just hold it there. Another thing you can do is also with the leg at behind, is you can also push that into the floor on this blade of the foot. So that foot behind is like this, and then as you push that hip out, you'll kind of go more on the blade, and I can push with this action into the floor as well. And then that really lights up, especially from the lower portion down here through that side portion of the hip. Really helps open that up as well. So here I'm reaching over, push my hip out, and then I can push that blade of the foot in hard and then relax. So you can just do contract, relax method here, where I might push it in for about 5 to 10 seconds, let go, and then just try and sink even deeper into the stretch. Oh, and that's really, really good. Another modification you can also do is come up a bit more upright, and whilst holding on here, instead of reaching overhead, I'm going to reach more across. I'm still going to push my hip out, and then I'm going to try and rotate my chest away from the wall. So here I'm now just rotating, and this starts targeting this upper section all through here as I stretch out, still trying to push the blade of my foot into the floor, push the hips out. Also, I'm now rotating away from the wall as I really needed that today, as I start to unbind the upper fibers through here. After you do this, overhead mobility it's great. But also this side action that we're opening up as well, you've really lengthened it out through here, and through using this, through using the position of the foot, we can target more lower by pushing in with that blade of the foot into the floor. Play with the pelvis position by tucking it in and out, and then that will start targeting this sort of section. With the overhead reach, you can also play with rotation, and you will find all these fibers all through here start to open up. And then finally you can also bring your hand a little bit lower and reach more across to really target that upper section. So through there you've got here all the way down with this one stretch where you can open up all sorts of possibilities. So with this one, just take it nice and slow at the start, because it is an intense stretch, but as you ease your way into it, as you become more sensitive to where you are stretching, you can get a lot out of it as well. So you can play around with those things. What I like to do is I might try and target one section first and just play around with one variable first, and then I might add the foot in, I might add some rotation in, I might add the pelvis. Just as I feel through that stretch, I'm just trying to help relax and lengthen this section as well. So you contract it, and then I'll exhale and then relax as well, to try and just not always be clenched up at end range, trying to promote a sense of relaxation as well. So I really like this door frame stretch. Hope you guys do too. Combining that with that lateral squat and reach over, I find these to be very simple but very effective lateral stretches which anyone can do. The only equipment you need is this type of wall, pole or whatever, and then just your body weight, and you can open up the side of the body in a very powerful way. Episode 2 of this mini series of opening up and becoming familiar with the lateral line of the body. 2 of my favorite stretches. So little protocol that you can do is you can just alternate each of them. You can do them for, let's say, 90 seconds each. You might get in like 10 squats of the lateral squat and reach over in that one with a hold at the end. And then with the door frame stretch, you can do 90 seconds each side as well. 10 seconds in one position, then you might change one variable, hold for another 10 seconds, and then you just keep on tweaking. That's a nice little starting protocol for you guys to really start releasing this side of the body with those stretches. Hope you guys enjoyed this one today. As always, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below, or you can find my details on the passive hang. There's still going to be one more episode left in this mini series where we're going to go through a lateral based power coordination. I'm excited to share that one with you guys. I will see you in the next episode.